Hey there, this is Alicia Katz-Pollock of RoyalWise.com, and welcome to the Unofficial QuickBooks Accountants podcast. In this episode, I had such a great time hanging out with Matthew Fulton, last week as we talked about recertification that I wanted to follow up on a kind of a side comment that he made about his experiences with QBO. So Matthew Fulton is from Parkway Business Solutions, and he runs the QB Community Live Facebook group. And he and I have known each other for years. How are you doing, Spot? Welcome to the show.
Doing good. Thank you so much. It's good to be back. It's nice.
Yeah. So you took a year-long sabbatical, and everybody who was in your Facebook group missed you desperately, and we're all really, really delighted that you're back. So, stepping away for a year and coming back again is definitely challenging. What was that like for you?
It was difficult for me to do. Wanting to always help and contribute to the community. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with heart failure, and it really knocked me out. It was a situation where I just couldn't work for quite a bit, and after taking so much time off, I needed to refresh my brain and try to get back into things. So it's good to be back and start helping people again. I always find helping other people with their questions, it helps me get back into the right space to be able to do our work.
Yeah. Now, you've been a longtime QBO guru, kind of like I am. Back in 2021, we both got top 10 Pro Advisor in the same year. I for Appologist and you for training. Although I swear that they must have had that flip-flopping backwards.
I think we both probably could have earned both at the same time. Still to this day, that is one of my greatest accomplishments. I'm so proud to have had that title of the top trainer, writer, educator of the year. So definitely something that, well deserved to you, because you do a lot more of the training writing stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, well, but you are one of the people whose answers to the questions in the public forums I go read myself.
Thank you.
So I learn a lot from you as well. So what I'm really curious about is that after a year away, when you first logged back into QBO, what was your immediate reaction?
It's a good question. Before I was getting started, a good friend of mine, Linda Artisani, I was always talking to her, and I kept hearing about all the different gripes throughout the social media worlds about what was wrong and how they were having all these problems. So I was like, oh my gosh, am I really going to be, I don't want to jump into this. I was hesitant because I knew it was going to take forever. But I got to say, when I actually got back in and started doing stuff for everybody before taxes, I found it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. They had done a lot of work to fix things up, which I was pleased on. There are some other things that, I'm not the biggest fan of, like there's AI statements and such, but there were changes. It was hard to navigating and finding where things were at was probably the most frustrating part, I would say, with it.
Did it feel like an upgrade, or did you feel like you had to relearn everything?
It was more like having to, I would say, relearn stuff, primarily because learning where things are at. Not to give them too hard of a time, but their bookmarks thing for me is kind of one of those things like, I love the bookmarks, but I hate them. It would be phenomenal if I create my bookmarks and they actually worked across all my different clients instead of having to recreate the bookmarks for every single client. So love the bookmarks to use that quickly, but hate the fact I got to set them all up for every single thing. It was just so much more efficient before to get around to things.
Yeah, we actually had Kirsten Thulborn, who's one of the project managers working on Interface a couple episodes ago, and that was specifically one of the things that we talked about was the fact that the bookmarks in the My Tools menu are incredibly customizable, which is an enhancement, except that we can't choose to put them across all clients. And so so she's like, that's a really good idea. So I am hoping that we'll see that one.
I also would like it as an accountant for my clients that if I want to be able to set up the bookmarks for them to be able to use so it's easier for them. It's not only about us having to learn when things are changing, it's us managing and dealing with our clients that are now forced to learn how to change stuff as well. And it gets frustrating. So there's times I wish we could control a little bit more of that for them to, ease their pain.
Setting up a custom menu for a client, that's a great idea on setup. In fact, I think I want to add that to my converting from QBO to desktop worksheet to go in and
Yes.
do that.
It's, I mean, think about it. I'm sure all of your listeners, and if you've had this experience, please drop a comment where you're watching it and such. When there's a major change, it's the client that's calling it like, I just need to get to my customers. I just want to get to my customers and see who owes me money, so forth. And they don't feel comfortable trying to find it and get to certain things. That's just one example. So, so that was one aspect that I found a little bit frustrating. Probably my biggest area that I was impressed with or happy with, because I had heard it was just horrible, was the bank feeds. It was like super slow for quite some time. I remember part of it. I know they focused a lot to speed it up, and it is faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made a specific change a couple months ago where it used to be once you clicked post, it waited, you
Froze
could
everything.
work until it posted that transaction, and now it posts in the background and you can keep going. So
It
the
was,
speed is
yeah.
no longer an issue, thank God.
Another little, I mean, these are silly little nuances, but there was a point in time where they brought the new bank feeds out and it limited the number of transactions you could actually see on the screen, right? Now we got the ability back to go to like 300, because I love my rules. I use them all the time. So I want to be able to get through stuff super quick. So that's always a big priority for me. Another feature I really loved that I've been using more now, I've been working with a client where I'm using the upload like bills and receipts a lot more. And that I'm pretty impressed with. When it first came out a long time ago, you could upload little things into a different area. It really wasn't so great. It didn't capture things quite right. Connecting it over to a transaction was an issue. But the new one, I've done quite a bit where we're taking something that's been emailed over to me, upload it, capture, I'm already in the right vendor, but it's capturing the numbers, capturing terms off of it. It's putting things into the right categories, and it seems to learn for the different vendors where you want things at and break it out. So that has been saving me a lot of time.
So is the categorization accuracy improved on
Yes,
that?
I can say for the client I've been using it, I haven't had to change any of the categorizations so far. That
Really?
is really like impressive for me to say.
Yeah.
It's done a great job.
And that really goes back to something that I'm saying, but I have always said, but I think I'm guilty of it myself right now, is that if something didn't work the way you expected it to work and you wrote it off, you have to revisit the feature every so often, because they are working on things behind the scenes and
Yeah.
they are not telling you when they have improved a specific background functionality. And so, when they first released the drag and drop on the bills, and it was not, it was just making things up, and I would still have to do all the work anyway.
What was
But
the
if you're
point?
saying that
Yeah.
it works great now, that's really good news.
So maybe in the spirit of kindness, their AI statement reconciliation, maybe it's going to grow up to be ready for prime time. Am I making this nice?
Oh, so
That's
you're talking about the reconciliation where you drag the statement in and then reconcile it compared to
Yeah,
statement.
yeah. So there's kind of two situations with it. One of it was I was working on a different client, and their bank feed had disconnected for like 1 month. So I had 1 month fully missing. So I was able to. I didn't want to go to the bank, do all that stuff because it would require them. I fortunately had the statement inside QuickBooks Online, so I downloaded it and then I uploaded it back in to capture and pull everything in. When trying to pull the transactions off of it and the whole process to review it, it takes a little while for it to process. It is what it is there. But once it opens it up, I really found it was like pointless to have. I ended up actually just taking the same document, using my money thumb to process it faster, create the QBO and pull it in. They do this weird thing when it's on that screen. We're accountants. When debit and credit, say they're different than if you're a banker. If you're a banker or just somebody else, it's they debited my account, meaning they took money out of it, right? Or they credited my account, meaning I got money in. As we know as accountants, you debit a bank account when money goes up. You credit it when it goes down. So the language it was showing on the screen as I had to review and try to pull transactions in, at first I was like, these are all backwards. This is ridiculous. So you go to review it to make it reconcile. It took me so much more time. I just was like, didn't like it.
There's a lot of information on that screen that you have to
Yeah.
parse through. And I actually just met with one of the developers a couple weeks ago about it, because there are certain things that I do like about it. You know, the information at the top where it says the differences between them, and the fact that it surfaces if there's things on the statement that aren't in your QuickBooks, that's gold. But there's so much information on the screen that your human brain can't parse it all to make sense of it. And so, you know, my feedback was a toggle. Like, do I want to see QuickBooks? Do I want to see the bank statement, or do I want to see both at the same time? You know,
A
so
quick nerdy point, like a long time ago before they started improving the reconciliations, like quite some time ago, it was really bad. I made this program in Excel where we could take transactions that from a statement wise, put it in one screen, put all the stuff from the ledger of QuickBooks, boom, and it would go and reconcile and only provide the differences between. So when I see this like 6 years later, I'm like, good, that it does work. And that stuff's cool. That is nice to speed up the process for sure.
yeah. Now, I'm also thinking about when you said debits and credits, I wonder if it has to do with whether it's a bank account or a credit card, because that also has the flipped debits and credits.
This one specifically is a checking account, so that's a great point to see what it would do there and reference it. One other nuance that I found is this one statement happened to have both the checking and the savings on it. And what it did is it pulled up to the screen all of the transactions. And luckily the savings, there's only like 3 transactions, so I could just unclick them and not use those. But that's just something else you have to look at and pay attention to. So, but that's a great, I would hope it's going to catch a credit card, because it didn't ask you when you're pulling it in. It doesn't ask you if you want to reverse it. I have to test that.
Have you found that all the new AI and automations are changing how you're doing your job?
No, at the moment, like I'm starting to try to use a little bits of the AI throughout it. I'm not very pleased with it yet. Again, reconciliation stuff is just not really working for me. I have played around on a higher level client. They've got their finance AI aspect where you can create a full, like, beautiful report if you're using, QuickBooks Online Advanced or QuickBooks Advanced. That I really dig. I like the insights you can pull from on a report for a client to be able to give them more context to things. But the banking AI, I'm not a big fan of that, especially the match category thing within the bank feeds, that slider, and then it has AI next to it. That whole piece is just not working as well for me because, again, I want to batch stuff. So I keep finding it goes to match on something and I don't want to, so I have to click it and move it over. And then AI suggestions have not been very accurate for me yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the AI suggestions, you still have to rebuild it specific to your file. Unfortunately, it lost all of the information that we had built up over the years specific to files. And so, when you first start the new banking feed for a client, you lose what was working, but that was all built and, developed as you used it, it learned. And so we do all had to start over. I'm actually finding that mine is back to normal and faster than it used to be now.
So I guess the question I would have for you is, are you finding with the AI, if you're in one client, let's say it's construction and things are a little bit different there versus maybe a marketing company, is the AI going to be independently learning between the different company files, or is it learning generically through everybody's stuff? I mean, I don't know if we know, but.
Right. I don't know if I know for sure. I know 100% that it is working off of aggregate data. I know that it's being trained of what are most people doing with a transaction like this. And when you click on the transaction, it shows you a list of 3 or 4 categories that are common for a transaction with that vendor. Basically, It's a list of what did everybody else put it in. I do know that in some of the setups, you had the ability to specify what industry you're in, but I don't know that that was available in everybody's setup. That would be a great suggestion, is that they can actually use that field or that information about your file, about your company and what industry it's in, and surface or the category recommendations specific to the industry first.
Yeah.
Would be that's a great idea. That, of course, will slow it down a little bit because it has to think it through, but, it's a good idea.
As a person who's always been super focused on and the bank feed rules and like tearing apart, doing different things, if you're really going to automate a lot of the stuff, you need to know an industry and you need to know location, because you need to start to understand distance, right? So a Lowe's for one company is going to be different for another, and meals, if it's something close to the home versus further away, those are all things that AI is going to have to start to pay attention to really start to advance and take advantage of stuff.
Oh, I love the idea of being able to look at distance, and if it's if it's over 100 miles away, automatically make travel meals the default. That's
Yeah.
super cool. That I think is, gonna be some time down the line, but that is definitely a neat idea.
One other thing that in the bank feed area, adding vendor names. This has been a major pet peeve of mine forever. So you're going in, you've got a brand new client. We all have that one client that loves to go try every new restaurant in the world, which drives me nuts because I'm trying to put the names in. You would type a vendor name as a company, and it would always then take and auto-populate into the first name and last name as you're creating the vendor, which drove me nuts. I'd have to go down and delete those real quick because I'm OCD and want it to be clean. Now I'm seeing that when I put it in the customer name or the company name, it just stays there and it doesn't try to do the other part.
Really, I wanna try that out, because I think I was just working with a client where I didn't have that experience, where it was still putting it in the name field. So
I hope I didn't jinx myself.
I'll go cross check that one.
Yeah.
If it worked for you, I'm really happy for you, for sure.
I hope I didn't jinx myself. So,
Knock on wood.
I can tell you one thing that is still driving me nuts. How many pop-ups are you getting every day as you're in a file? Like, oh my goodness, people. Like, I feel they're going to start selling their grandmothers through the product pretty soon
Well,
because there's so many pop-ups.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because there's something that I've been thinking about that I don't think that I ever shared with everybody, but I don't know how many QuickBooks users have ever been on Credit Karma. Credit Karma is into its other property, where it's financial management for individuals, and it's free. And it's free because their entire model is like, oh, here's your spending habits. Here's the best credit card for somebody in your situation, because you can get 3% off on gas and food, which are your biggest expenses. And so its whole revenue model is advertising and marketing.
Yeah.
That works. Credit Karma is growing and succeeding and making more money. And because its entire success is based on upselling, they're taking that learning and they're putting it in QuickBooks and suggesting that, oh, you're in Plus. Maybe you could do more reporting if you were in Advanced. And they're trying to use AI to look at the features that you're using and be specific about features that could help. But, we all know that if you're not connected to QuickBooks Payments, it's going to pound you over the head about QuickBooks until you finally just sign up. Just
Yeah.
to get the pop-ups gone. And by the way, everybody, don't sign up directly in product. Make sure you sign up either through the revenue share if you're a pro advisor, or sign up through a pro advisor if you're a small business listening to this, because we get cheaper rates than if you just click the shiny green button.
Reach out to either one of us. We're happy to help you on that, of course.
Absolutely.
You talked about kind of like the upsell stuff. One of the things I did this year again for my business and my own taxes, I do like the ability with QuickBooks Online. I've got all my business stuff is all nice, clean, and organized, and I was able to push the information over to TurboTax to get the tax stuff done, which also then links to your Credit Karma, which keeps some of that information. So I am officially fully supported by the Intuit, all the different pieces all together, and made it very easy for me to get this stuff done very quickly, which I liked. That was really neat.
That's a really cool insight. Um, so in coming back cold,
Yep.
I know that you're a super quick learner, so I'm sure just like poking around and experimenting actually was happy and fun for you.
Yeah.
Did you use any external resources or strategies to relearn the system? Like, how did you get caught up to speed so quickly?
One of the things I've always done, if I had to take a break and come back, is I will immediately jump into the different training resources, certifications, and such, because I find one of the best ways to know anything that's changed is going straight to certs. I watched while I was doing some other stuff. I watched the different in the know sessions, buy into it to understand what was new, was coming out. I ended up going through and doing the advisory certification, doing the AI course. So that helped kind of give me a basis with the stuff. And then because I had clients that were on hold for that period of time, I still had work that I was going to jump into, and it's just pushing the buttons. I've always been a button pusher, find it and figure it out quickly.
Hmm. You know, one of the analogies that's really appropriate here is like the difference between you and me right now is that I'm the proverbial frog in boiling water that,
Mhm.
the frog, the frog doesn't know that the water is getting hotter and
Yeah.
hotter and hotter and hotter until it's too late. Whereas if you just drop in, you can experience the scald. And not that like I'm feeling like we're being scalded. Most of what we're seeing here, of course, there's growing pains, but there's huge improvements and differences in the software. Um, how does how does it feel emotionally for you?
I think the hardest part for me has been when clients themselves are getting frustrated with changes or price increases, and because they are feeling the scold, they're actually like been trying to motivate changes over to different platforms. And that's where kind of some of the pain point stuff was. I felt like I needed to really understand again what's been hurting them for that period of time and figure out, is it just because buttons moved, or is it really something that's just not bearable for them, to talk them off the edge of moving, because there's so much more to it. So there's been certain aspects of it where it was, I got to figure this out now and do something to fix it and make it happen. Luckily, I'm a quick learner, but the rest has been able to jump in and just figure it out pretty quick and go from there.
Having stepped back, do you see a difference in how accounting is changing?
That's a good question, especially, everybody's talking about AI. Well, we now have AI all over the product and what we can do with it. So, yes, I feel it is changing because we have the tools that are they're giving us more insights, things we can do with it. So, you and I have always been focused on the idea of being in front of the curve on things and using technology to our benefit. This is definitely helping with that and to be able to provide more to clients. I see the ability to get things done faster, and then really the key, it's the reporting stuff that I think is going to be the neatest that comes out of it. I don't. I got to do the data entry, that type of it, to make sure it's right. At least review it, and then it's the reporting that we can get people engaged. I think is the most important part. Tell that story for them.
Do you feel more efficient or less efficient?
Right at the beginning, it was less efficient just because I had to get my feet wet again. But now it's jumping in. It didn't take me long to get back up to speed, I should say. I feel more efficient for sure with the tools that are inside of it.
Well, that I think is probably one of the biggest takeaways of this whole conversation is that the frogs in the pot of water are deep in the experience of having to develop new muscle memory, and we're sometimes kind of scarred by the emotion of
Yeah.
the changes and the lost efficiency and the feeling like we're not experts, and then we have to kind of grow back into the expertise. Whereas, and so we've had the kind of the journey, the emotional journey, as it were, that has colored a lot of people's
Yeah.
perspectives now. Whereas you coming in cold saw the differences and then found the efficiencies, and you're like, oh wait, this is actually better. Not everything's working, we know it's all in development, but you're seeing that the software really has improved.
I think you nailed it. And I think going back to what I was saying before about dealing with clients, what it allowed me to do is people being impacted by this and frustrated, it was a lot easier for me to jump back in to see what it was and look at it with a fresh lens and be like, okay, here, like they're having difficulty with this, to then readdress it and kind of help show them what could be done in an easier way. And that reset their temperature as well, which was super, super important. I think if I had been, I've been there for times where there was just so many frustrations. You couldn't, the spinning wheel of death, that kind of stuff, that you would probably be cheering along with them at the point. But this gave me the opportunity to be like, okay, they are pushing things forward. Things are improving. It is working better. There are going to be hiccups here and there, but let me help you figure out how to do this part and smooth it out so you can get back to what you need to do.
Yeah, I think really what you're touching on is training, that you and I have always approached this as trainers, as people smoothing out oh, wait, you're having trouble with that. Did you know that you can do it this way? And that kind of solves that problem. But right now I have had to learn it along with everybody else. So I'm not necessarily positioned to be able to jump in immediately with that soothing, comforting response. And you're kind of pro forward with that, is that you've had to kind of dive in deep and you've got the benefit of not having to walk through the whole beta testing transition of the last year. You're getting the benefit of the things that work.
Yep.
That, right down to that example we had earlier with the bill scraping, with the bill imports, that the last time I tried it was when I taught the expenses course back in October, and it didn't do anything that was helpful. But by the time you tried it out, it worked.
Yeah, you nailed it. It's nice. The other nice thing is, like, you're sitting here having to recreate all your content, right? I got to get back into doing some videos again to populate my YouTube channel and share with people. But at least all the changes are now done, so I'm not going to create it and a week later have to create something different.
Right.
So, woohoo, on that side of it. So, yeah, it's good to be back. I'm excited to see what's going to be happening. I jumped in already and turned on the Intuit Accountant suite. I like the coloring better. I like the look and the feel of it. But I do miss, my biggest thing I miss in the old QuickBooks Online, when I want to get back to my clients real fast, I just went and clicked the top left, right, where it said Intuit or wherever it was, and it just pulled up your whole client list. Now you have to go back and either go to the bubble for clients to pull up a list. So it's such a nerdy nuance, but it drives me nuts on that part of it.
Yeah, because it's taking you back to the overview screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on the flip side, I never go to my clients list. If I'm going back to my IAS, I need to go to my customers, not my overall clients. So different use cases for different ways that people use the software.
4 or 5 different ways to do the exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
But now IAS is going to have better this is a great area of AI capabilities to be able to evaluate stuff that's going on with clients. It can look across things and give you information for them. So that's another place where it can make us more efficient as a firm as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, that was really insightful to hear your perspective, because it's a way of thinking about all of this technology development across our industry with a different lens. So thank you very much for coming on and giving us your perspective.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So what's going on in your world?
Right now, my big focus, I've obviously been educating myself on these things. Now I need to start creating some more content to get back out and to share with the community and to my YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for that. But of course, if other people are having challenges with the new layouts or difficulties with things, I love a good challenge and helping people out. So feel free to reach out to me on that.
All right. Excellent. You are a great resource, and I definitely think everybody should go check out the QB Community Live. I'm wearing my T-shirt right now.
You are. Thank you.
And, Matthew is a fabulous, fabulous resource for troubleshooting. He's one of the people that when I'm stuck, he's one of the people that I call.
Appreciate it.
So,
How
yeah.
about you? What do you got going on?
Well, I have been I'm in the middle of adding new classes to the Royal Wise Owls about all the different kinds of QuickBooks, like a ledger class and a solopreneur class and an advanced QBO advanced class and Intuit Accountant Suite. I've also started conference season. I just got back from the BDO Alliance conference, and I'm heading out to Seattle to Aaron Pohan's WAVE conference, and then Scaling New Heights is on the horizon. So I'm gonna be busy traveling. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a lot. I hope you enjoy them. I expect probably going to Reframe this year for Hector's, which I'm excited for.
I did just sign up for Reframe as well.
That's going to be my big one for the year, to get out and see everybody.
Oh, I'm really excited that you're going to be there. Well, Spot, thank you for joining us, and we will see you in the next
one.